I'm going to show you 3 important candlestick patterns that's gonna change your trading life. And once you understand these candlestick patterns, you won't ever need any video on candlesticks again. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 of my favorite candlestick patterns, how you can also identify them when they form in zones, why those candles form or the story behind those candlesticks, and how you can take advantage of it, right, to make some money. At the end of this video, I'm going to be revealing a secret candlestick strategy that most pro traders don't ever talk about, right? So stick with me to the end. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and let's get straight into the video. When it comes to trading, we have 2 types of candlestick formation, right? We have the bullish candlestick formation, and then we have the bearish candlestick formation, or the bullish candlestick pattern, and then the bearish candlestick pattern. Under the bullish candlestick pattern, these are candlestick patterns that indicate that market is ready to buy, right? Or there's bullish pressure ready to come into the market. And when we talk about the bearish candlestick patterns or the formations, they are candlesticks that show that market is ready to sell or give you that indication that bearish pressure is about to step into the markets, right? And the first candlestick that I'll be taking is the hammer and then the shooting star candlestick pattern. And the hammer and the shooting star candlestick patterns are opposites of each other, right? The hammer is a bullish candlestick pattern, and then the shooting star is a bearish candlestick pattern. So the hammer is a candlestick pattern that indicates that market is getting ready to buy, right? And this candlestick pattern has a very long lower shadow. When I say lower shadow, I'm talking about the wick. It has a very long wick and has a small body, hence the name hammer, right? It looks like a normal real life hammer. That is how it looks like. I just show it on the screen so that you have an idea of how that candlestick pattern looks like to a hammer, okay? And the hammer can have a blue candlestick body or a red candlestick body, right? So far as it has a long lower shadow and has a small body with little wick above it or no wick at all, that is a hammer, and it indicates that market is ready to buy, right? Now, these kind of candlestick patterns usually form at the bottom of a trend. When I say bottom of a trend, meaning that price is coming from the downtrend and it forms at the bottom of a trend, indicating that there's buying pressure getting ready to come into the market. Now, these candlestick patterns can also form at support zones, right? When I say support zones, support is an area on the chart where buying pressure comes in or steps into the market. So when you have a support zone drawn and then there's a hammer candlestick pattern forming that zone, that it indicates to you that market is getting ready to buy, right? Now, also, if you have price moving in an uptrend where you have series of higher highs and higher lows forming, and then you have that hammer candlestick forming at a swing low or a higher low, it also gives you that indication that market is getting ready to buy. I hope that's very clear. So this is how you can trade the hammer candlestick pattern. First, identify a support, right? So you're going to have a support here because we can see there's bullish pressure coming in whenever price touches this zone. So you're going to draw our support here beautifully, right? Now let's see the next candlestick pattern that comes. So once this candle appears, it closes as a hammer, right? This candle closes as a hammer, this candle right here. And then what you have to do is you just take your long position tool and then bring it to the candle, right? Where the candle closed. You have your SL just below where this hammer formed, right? Just below the wick of the hammer. Then you can target the previous resistance, which in this case, we are going to choose this resistance as our last major resistance, right? So what you can do is the first time you can just take a 1:2 trade, and then once you get a 1:2, you can hold on break even until price touches your take profit, right? So we are going to target this zone just because we have seen this hammer, right? So let's see what happens. So we have price pushing up and then smashing our take profit at this zone here. That's very beautiful, right? So we had one hammer form in this zone. We also had another hammer form, which is this bearish candlestick here, also formed as a hammer and then hit our TP beautifully. So that is how to trade a hammer candlestick pattern. And the next candlestick pattern I'll be talking about is the shooting star candlestick pattern. Now this candlestick pattern is the opposite of the hammer, right? Where it has a longer upper shadow instead of the lower shadow for the bullish hammer, right? The shooting star has a longer upper shadow, has a very small body which is inverted, and then has little or no wick at all, right? Now with these candlestick patterns, it forms at resistance zones. It indicates the market is getting ready to sell. So if you have a resistance and then you have a shooting star form at that particular zone, then it shows that market is getting ready to sell or there's bearish pressure ready to come into the market. When you have this candlestick pattern forming at the top of a trend, where market is forming series of higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, gets to a point and then you see that shooting star candlestick pattern form there, then it shows you the market is getting ready to come down. I hope that's very clear. So it forms at the top of a trend, forms at resistance zones, or forms at lower high zones. I hope that's very clear. All right, so this is how you can also trade the shooting star candlestick pattern. So first, we've identified a resistance point here, right? You have a resistance point right here, And then this candle that's formed here, this candle here is a shooting star candlestick pattern. So right after this candle form, what you can do is just take your short position tool, right? Prepare yourself to enter for a sell. Then you take your SL just a little above that shooting star candlestick pattern, and you can target the next support for your TP, right? So for this place, we had a broken resistance that has become a support. So you're going to draw it down. We can target here for our TP and eventually target this support down here for our last TP, right? But always make sure to target a 1:1 first, which is something like this, right? A 1:1 first before you go ahead to target a longer risk to reward ratio. Okay. So after this shooting star formed, we can see price went down all the way to the downside, right? I think that was fast. Let me just play it well for you to see it well, right? Okay, so when the shooting star formed, we had price dropping steadily all the way to the downside, smashing our TP and then even smashing the next support zone that we drew. So this is how to also trade the shooting star candlestick pattern. Now the next pair of candlestick patterns I'll talk about is the engulfing candlestick pattern, right? Now these candlestick patterns are very powerful when it comes to trading. So when it comes to the engulfing candlestick pattern, we have the bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, and then we have the bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. Now under the bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, you usually have a small bullish candle, right? A very small bullish candle, and right after that bullish candle forms, you see a very big bearish candle which is eating or engulfing that small bullish candle, hence the name engulfing bearish candlestick pattern. So the bearish candle eats up that bullish candle, right, which was before it. So it's just two candles, a very small bullish candlestick and then a bigger candlestick, which is a bearish candlestick that eats that small bullish candlestick. All right, it just shows that there's going to be a power shift very soon from buyers to sellers, right? This is how you can trade the bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. Okay, so you'd have a first bullish candlestick, and then you have the first bullish candlestick, which is small, and then you have a bearish candlestick which consumes that bullish candlestick. Okay, so we trade this as resistance. So we can identify we have a resistance point here, we have a resistance point here, and in this resistance point we had an engulfing candlestick pattern closing, which is consuming this candlestick, right, this previous candlestick here. So what you can do is take your short position to bring it to the close of this candle, right, have your SL a little above the bearish candlestick, and then you can target the first support. So the first support you're going to be targeting here, right? So here is going to be our first support. And then our second support, we will target this break and retest structure that we have right here. So we can target here as our second take profit. So let's see what happens on this trade. So we have price smashing through and then coming close to our second take profits, right? There's a 1:3.23 risk to reward ratio, which is not bad at all right? And the opposite of the bearish engulfing candlestick pattern is the bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, right? Now the bullish engulfing candlestick pattern is just the opposite of the bearish candlestick pattern. Okay, now with the bullish candlestick pattern, you have a very small bearish candlestick, right, and then a very big bullish candlestick. And when you see this candlestick forms, it just shows you that the buyers are in control, right? The buyers have eaten up the previous sell candle. It has overshadowed it, it has engulfed it. It shows that there's power shift about to come into the market. So with the bullish candlestick pattern, when you see them as support zones, you see them as swing low zones, or you see them at the bottom of a trend, it tells you as a trader that buyers are getting ready to come into the market, so you should get ready to buy, right? That is simply what it means. So this is how you can also trade the engulfing candlestick pattern. All right, so we can see we have a support zone here where there's buying pressure coming into the markets, right? And once we had this small bearish candle, we had this big bullish candle engulfing this previous bearish candle here. Okay, so how to trade this is once you have the bullish engulfing, which is this big bullish candle, you just take your long position tool, since it's giving you an indication to buy, right? You take your long position tool, so you have your SL a little above the bearish candle. Okay, so you can have something like this, and then we are going to target the last resistance on that particular structure, right? So we are going to target here, but then we can also target here to take some profit, since it's also a resistance point on the chart. So we'll have our take profit here, and then maybe our last take profit all the way here. All right, so let's see what happens on this trade. So the next candle opens, price smashed through our first TP and then eventually smashed our second TP. That's a very beautiful trade, right? And we targeted a 1:6 risk to reward on this trade. All right, so we've done the first set, which is the hammer and then the shooting star. The second set, which are the engulfing candlestick pattern, which is the bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, and then the bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. I hope that's very clear. And the last set of candlestick patterns I'll be talking about are the dojis, right? And the dojis candlestick patterns are very interesting. These candlestick patterns just show indecision in the market. It shows that buyers don't know if they are taking over the market, and sellers also don't know if they are taking over the market, right? Now, under the doji candlestick pattern, we have two candlesticks, right? We have the gravestone doji, and then we have the dragonfly doji. Now, I'll take the dragonfly doji first. Now, the dragonfly doji, hence the name dragonfly, is similar to how a dragonfly looks like, right? I'll put it on the side of the screen so that you see it. And this candlestick pattern looks like the letter T, right? Letter T. And this has a very long lower shadow and has little or no body, right? Little body or no body at all. Now, this shows that buyers are in control of the market. It shows that buyers push price all the way from the bottom or from the downside to the upside, meaning that sellers were able to push price to the downside and buyers rejected price all the way to the upside and eventually closing with little or nobody close to the opening price, right? Little or nobody at all. That is the dragonfly doji. Now, when you see the dragonfly doji form at support zones, you see them form at swing low zones, you see them form at the higher low zones, right? Or you see them form at the bottom of a trend. It tells you as a trader that market is getting ready to buy, right? And this is how you can trade the dragonfly doji, right? So you can see price give us a dragonfly doji after it tapped this other block that we have here, right? Or let's say this support that we have here. It's a small resistance here that this candle broke out of, and then price came back to retest that zone. Let me just draw it well for you to see it. This very small resistance point here, where we have an order block also inside the zone. So price tapped the zone and then closed as a dragonfly doji. Now, this indicates that there's bullish pressure coming into the market. The buyers were able to push price all the way from down here and then push price up closer to the opening price, causing this candle to have little or no body at all. So what you can do is once price closes, you take a long position too and then position it just at where the new candle is likely to open, right? You have your SL a little below this structure here, because if you bring it below here, you're going to have a very big SL, right? We are going to target the first resistance point we have here so that we can get out of the market or take some profit once price gets there. So we have our resistance point here, and then we target it here beautifully, right? A 1:7 risk to reward ratio. So let's see what happens. Price starts pushing up, and then eventually we smash our take profit just by following this dragonfly doji that price gave in the zone. I hope this is very clear. Very easy trade. The opposite of the dragonfly doji is the gravestone doji, right? And the gravestone doji just looks like a gravestone. You see how a gravestone looks like? I'll put it on the side of the screen so that you see it. So this has the body buried down, right? It has the body buried down and it has a very long upper shadow. Now, this tells you that buyers were able to push price all the way to the upside, and eventually sellers got that momentum to push price to the downside, causing market to close just around the opening price, right? Giving that candlestick little or nobody at all, right? So it shows you that sellers are in control, or at that moment, there's going to be a power shift from the buyers to the sellers. Now, when you see this kind of candlestick patterns forming at resistance zones, they form at lower high zones where you have lower highs and lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And you see a gravestone doji form at a lower high zone, then it tells you that market is getting ready to push down, right? So this is how you can trade the gravestone doji, right? So we had a resistance point here. You can see we have a very small resistance that price is forming here, okay? And you can see price keeps on rejecting that zone. There's been several rejections in the zone. Then suddenly we had this dragonfly doji forming inside the zone, okay? A very strong dragonfly doji showing that the buyers were able to push price all the way to the upside, and then sellers gathered momentum to push price all the way to the downside, causing this market to close closer to the opening price, okay? Now, the gravestone doji can have either a bullish body or a bearish body, right? It just needs to close with little or no body at all. So this is a gravestone doji. So how to trade this is you just take your short position to right after the candle closes, right? Just put it here, your SL a little above this zone, this resistance zone that we had here, okay? A little above it, and then you can target the previous resistance. So you have a resistance point right here that's below here, okay? This resistance point here was a resistance, here was a resistance, price broke out of it. So possible that price may come back and then retest this zone, okay? So you want to be safe and then get out at the next support. So this is it. We just see what happens, and price just smashed our TP, right? Now once price closes below this, you can also target another point here. But then once you get to the first resistance, okay, make sure you've taken major profit. Now you're on break even with some small position, right? So then let's see if we smash our next TP. So you can see price also comes back and then smashes this zone, right? That is how you can trade the gravestone doji. And there's a secret when it comes to trading dojis, right? Trading dojis can be very tricky. So if you want to trade a doji, what you can do is that wait for the next candlestick to form after the doji. So let's say you have a gravestone candlestick, right, form at your resistance zone. Now after that candle forms, then wait to see the next candle that forms. If it's a bearish candlestick that forms just below that gravestone doji's body, then they can tell you that market is getting ready to sell, right? So then you can start positioning yourself well. Because most of the time, okay, if you trade dojis or you trade gravestone and the dragonfly doji candlestick patterns alone, it can trick you sometimes. It can make you make some wrong decisions, or it can be a trap for you, right? So the best way I trade is that I always wait for the next candlestick that forms to tell me the story of whatever is happening in the market. If there's really a power shift that has moved from either buyers to sellers or from sellers to buyers. So once the candlestick forms after that doji has formed, that is when I go in for my trade. I hope that's very clear. And at the beginning of this video, I told you I was going to tell you a secret about candlesticks that most pro traders don't even come to say it on YouTube, right? When it comes to candlesticks, right, most people think that the candle, whilst it's forming, that is the right time to enter the trade, right? When the candle is forming, it looks like it's about to form into a doji. That is giving them that indication. But then always wait for the candle to close. It may sound very simple, but this is a mistake that most traders make, even pro traders, right? When the candle is forming, your psychology or your mind may tell you that this candle may close a doji. Why not enter? But a candle is always not confirmed until the candle closes. Don't trade a candle that hasn't closed just because it looks like it's about to form into a doji, or this candle is about to form into a hammer, or it looks like this candle may form as an engulfing. You may be deceived. Always make sure that the candle has closed. That is a real signal that market is telling you. Wait for the candle closure. Have in mind that that candle that you are seeing can just change shape anytime, can change direction anytime, right? Even 3 seconds to market closing, there can be some volatility that will change how that candle forms. So always wait for that candle to close before you have that signal to enter your trade. I hope that's very clear. That'll be all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do want to subscribe to the AbaTrades Forex Academy for everything Forex, right? Learn everything you need to know about Forex trading for free. Do want to join my free trading community for free trade setups and signals every single day, right? Follow me on Instagram at AbaTrades. Follow me on TikTok at AbaTrades. That'll be all for today. It's AbaTrades right here. On to the next video, and peace out.